Welcome back to America's Commercial Real Estate Show. I am Michael Bull. This segment is brought to you by GetValuate.com, online investment analysis. Well, today we're talking about Integra's Viewpoint 2018. Anthony Graziano is here. He's chairman with Integra Realty Resources. And so I think a lot of people are curious about some of these specialty sectors. And let's start with senior housing, because we know the baby boomers are getting older, but they're not really quite to the age that they're really starting to fill up senior housing. So what is your expectations and your viewpoint for senior housing?
Sure. Well, first, we're very excited this year. We're going to add a big senior housing group, probably another month or so, be an announcement to expand our seniar housing specialty. We've always had good core competency. We have a group in Tampa that acts nationally, and we're adding some more people this year that should be a real big improvement in our ability and capacity to do the work. Lot of movement in that sector. Your observation is what the general consensus is, right? Mm-hmm. People are getting older. The baby boomers are going to getting older. They're going to need this continuum of care, assisted living, and ultimately independent living, assisted living, and potentially nursing homes. What's interesting is that people are living longer, they're also working longer. Mm-hmm. And so people were building these things in the 90s thinking, oh, this wave is coming, and it never really materialized. It took a lot longer than people expected. Yeah. But we did see a lot of construction in 2017. In fact, construction exceeded net absorption in the assisted living sector, and so we saw occupancies decline a little bit overall in the sector. However, there is a long way to run with assisted living, and we certainly are very bullish on the assisted living market. The operations are improving, the efficiency of operations are improving. Mm-hmm. A lot of the players are aggregating, so there's big platform players in the market now that are looking at the specific growth patterns. But what we're seeing really is a good operational model with better yields than traditional standard property types. Mm-hmm. So good fundamentals. So we're very bullish on the senior housing market, and we have great professionals there that if anybody wants to talk to them, I put them in touch there, and the market overview speaks for itself. I don't want to tell you everything about Viewpoints, or nobody will read it, right? We want some people to download it, read the details. But we will have
the link here. So senior housing, you think you're bullish. So you think people are going to get older? You think people are going to age?
I think people are definitely going to age. I think that's absolutely going to happen.
Maybe next year I'll be a year older.
You know what's interesting? People resisted the assisted living segment. Your folks, your parents never really want to make that jump and say, I'm going to move from independent living. Some don't even want to leave their home, right? But at some point, for health reasons, they have to. Yeah. But the assisted living, the long-term assisted living is now changing. What we're seeing is really very little growth in the nursing home segment. Yeah. Nursing home segment has been static. It's dominated by Medicare, Medicaid. There's a lot fewer private pay nursing homes. But what we're seeing on the assisted living side is a big expansion in the types and specialization of services for Alzheimer's care and for special care that's needed. So that transition, I think assisted living is going to get wider in its service offerings. Yeah. And it's not just about people getting older, it's about people getting older and needing support when they don't have the family support. Right. So as our society has become more mobile and the kids move away and live in Boston and San Francisco and you're still in Miami, you need the support and you don't have the family there. So part of it is demographic to age. Mm-hmm. Part of it is also the social distance of your immediate family that can help care for you.
All right. So what do you guys think about healthcare real estate, medical office buildings and such moving forward?
Yeah, I think that there are some very big opportunities on the healthcare real estate side. What's interesting though is we're starting to see the private hospital systems play a bigger and bigger role in the operation of those. We had over the last 10 years, as a lot of the healthcare changes were occurring and as we were heading towards nationalized healthcare, there was a real big pullback in that sector because nobody really understood how that was going to affect the medical office world. Yeah. We also saw the rise of the surgical centers, right? We spent the last decade building a lot of what we call ambulatory surgery centers outside of the hospital because they could get reimbursed at the same rate as the hospital, but with a much lower cost. So we consulted with a lot of physicians and physician investment groups that were partnering with physicians to move those to develop those ambulatory surgery centers. Those have become very successful.
That going to continue then?
I think that's going to continue to some extent, but a lot of those opportunities have been taken, and I think the hospitals now are fighting to get that back. And they're winning in some cases by expanding their campuses, expanding their modalities and specialty of services that are coming back into the hospital campus. So I think that sector is starting to swing the other way. And the success of the surgery centers also relates to the group that's participating and the modality of the surgery center. So orthopedics and things like that doing very well on the surgery center side, but there are some that are really just coming back to the hospital.
And what about healthcare in retail settings? What's your trend there? What do you expect?
So, we are seeing, we talked about retail real estate earlier in the segment, being very adaptable, high parking ratios and so forth. We are starting to see, the physicians that are providing basically what we'll call general practice care, but now they have a separate model for that. They're heading into retail centers because it's convenient. But the medical office building is still very well entrenched in our society, and I think that from a long-term perspective, we're going to continue to see growth in that sector. We haven't seen a lot of new MOB growth throughout the country. It's been kind of slow, and that may be an opportunity. I think we look at that going forward.
Yeah, it may be. With all the baby boomers getting older,
right.
We're going to need more health care.
And the other thing is that the physicians, for economic reasons, are starting to aggregate, right? You used to have a lot of small physicians, and now what you're seeing is physician groups being acquired and aggregating, so you're going to get larger platform physicians. So medical office buildings are not going to be leased 1,000 square feet at a time. You'll have entire groups taking entire floors. So I think the medical office building management and leasing procedures are going to be more streamlined and are going to tend to be national. There's a lot of national players now. You have DaVita that does dialysis. You have major national providers. There are anesthesiologists now that have national groups. So that business, the healthcare business and the providers are aggregating, which I think provides an opportunity because you have national needs that can be met and that need to be consulted on.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about some other sectors. I want to ask you about hospitality and hotels, and I want to ask you about single tenant net lease, because I think there's some things in the Tax Act that maybe could impact those property types. We'll stay. Let's take a short break. I'm Michael Bull. This is America's Commercial Real Estate Show.